Andrographis, otherwise known as Calmeg, green charetta, or the king of bitters, is a tropical annual or short-lived perennial in the family Acanthus, the Acanthaceae. Andro is Greek for man. Graphis refers to a stylus or paintbrush. And you can see the irregular flower there extrudes a part which looks like a paintbrush, and the upright seed pod, which is characteristic to the plant, resembles a stylus. Paniculata merely refers to the flowering habit the plant flowers in panicles. It is the only source of andrographilide, which is a diterpenoid lactone, a digestive bitter par excellence. The plant is shudderingly bitter to the taste. It's used in treating indigestion, colds, flu. It's a specific for COVID, diarrhea, dysentery, parasitic infections, Lyme disease, and malaria. It is decidedly immune enhancing and is sometimes called Indian, that would be East Indian echinacea, due to its immune enhancing effect. My experience is that it cuts through mucus like a knife. One famous herbalist, a PhD herbalist that I know, said to me, I had COVID and Andrographis was what brought me through. It's magic for COVID, which I thought was a rather hippy-dippy statement for somebody who's a PhD chemist. There's a famous doctor who had a TV program. I hesitate to say his name because this is a story about him, but it would be Dr. Wizard of you fill in the blank. In any case, he wanted to promote Andrographis at a time when it was relatively unknown to Western audiences. And the reality is he didn't really have any experience with the plant at all. He hadn't touched the plant. He hadn't grown the plant. He didn't have pictures of the plant. So he had to come to Strictly Medicinal to get a picture of the plant so that he could have something to post on the screen when he was talking about the magical powers of Andrographis. And, of course, he wanted us to sign all kinds of release papers, and I'm just a hippie from Southern Oregon. I wasn't going to sign anything. So they started out offering us all kinds of money for the photo, and I ended up saying, listen, just use the photo and make the plant available to the people. At least you'll have one touch point for what the real thing is. The plant is rare only because it's quirky in cultivation. The natural distribution runs through Asia and East India. The plant is basically a weed of cultivated fields. A lot of descriptions will say that it grows in any kind of soil and will take shade, but here we grow it in the full sun and we amend the soil with a little compost. It seems to help. It's rare because it's challenging to grow. It has a small size, sparsely leaved. You can see here one of the plants has been already cut and dried for herb, and then we let it regrow. It's the middle of the summer here in Southern Oregon. Some of the plants are allowed to mature completely those will be the ones that we get our seed crop from. The seeds occur in these upright follicles, which are green at first and then turn brown. And after they turn brown, then they can spontaneously split, and they'll send their row of 6 to 10 golden seeds out to a distance that can shoot to several yards away, which is an indication that the plant is a good self-seeder. And in fact, in many ways, in the greenhouse or in cultivation, you'll find that it self-seeds more readily than it seeds when it sprouts when you intentionally plant it. So a little bit challenging to grow. A little bit goes a long way. It's extremely potent. A really good subject for tincturing, because tincturing allows you to use alcohol, which dissolves both the polar and the non-polar aspects of the plant. Andrographis is a non-polar agent and soluble in alcohol. Also, that helps with the dosage, because you can dose it down to 1 drop. A little bit goes a long ways. And since it's a small plant, you never get very much anyway. We found it to be a really good plant for us to grow because it differentiates us. Nobody else seems to be able to grow it, or only a few people are able to grow it. And when we offer the dried herb, it always sells out. We try to keep the price reasonable and not gouge the user. It has a particular slow growth habit, and one thing that I've noticed is that if it's growing in dry soils, it will tend to go to flower and seed, and if it's growing in moist soils, it'll tend to grow more to leaf. And this is significant because basically the more leaf you have, the better yield you're going to get. So we like to water it sufficiently during the early growth phases, and then back off on watering and let it go to seed in the later season so that we can make a seed harvest. Planting from seed can be challenging. One little tip that I might give is that the seed may be soaked in warm water overnight before planting, pressed into a sandy medium, and then kept moist, warm, and in the light until germination, which can take anywhere from 10 to 30 days, sometimes longer. Simply do not give up. Don't throw out the flats prematurely. There's nothing wrong with the seed. It just needs to meet the right conditions before it will germinate. And look out for volunteers, because those pods are going to split and send the seed out, and you'll find it growing in other pots or in the floor of the greenhouse, and those seedlings can be transplanted and worked up. It doesn't do particularly well in pots. It'll grow in pots for a little while and then it'll start to fade away. So it's best to start it in the late winter or early spring, work it up in pots, and then transplant out to the garden after frost. Kalmeg, king of bitters, an important item for the herbal apothecary. You can find out more about how to make the tincture by accessing my book, Making Plant Medicine. You can find out more about the horticultural aspects of the plant by accessing my book, Growing Plant Medicine, Volume 1. Big love to you, and a bitter kiss from Southern Oregon.